Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we got another Gun Gripe episode for you. All right, and this one is on the cuffs of the GOA and their fight against Trump and his bump stock ban. And this is meant to be a bit of an update. And I want to take a moment to definitely thank Sonoran Desert Institute for supporting our channel and allowing us to continue giving gun gripes to you guys, raw, unadulterated, unfiltered. All right, they're a great bunch of folks. If you guys are in need of higher education in the way of gunsmithing, they're definitely the folks to look into. They got some great gunsmithing programs, and they're great people. We've been involved with them for a good while, and I've done some instructing there. They've got some great courses, and they will take care of you. They're wonderful people, and definitely cannot recommend them enough. They're wonderful folks. So let's talk a little bit about this bump stock ban update. As of right now, and this is fresh off the press from GOA, as of right now, March 26th is when they're saying that they want these bump stocks turned in, destroyed, otherwise forfeited, correct?
And you become a felon.
And you become a felon overnight, basically. And, you know, Trump obviously didn't go through the correct channels to get this done. He decided to do it through the swipe of a pen, just like something else he's trying to do right now, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But
I don't like any of it. We're
going to focus on the bump stock ban right now. So what Eric Pratt and the GOA is doing right now, and guys, you know, they are involved in litigation along with Tim Harmson and the Military Arms Channel. They are involved in litigation to, you know, basically, you know, hit this issue straight up. And right now what they're doing is they're trying to file an injunction, and they're petitioning not only William Barr but also President Trump himself to expand the time frame on this thing so that they can allow the court case to fully unfold and that they can allow this whole thing to go full circle and we figure out what's going to go on. You know, even Pelosi and all the cronies on the Democrat side have called numerous times saying that that this particular action was foolish on Trump's part and that they should have done it through more legitimate means. And even they know that this has a very high chance of being struck down, which of course is, you know, it goes on to talk about in this particular group of commentary here. And what did he say, the total value on?
$100 million. Yeah. That was in the original report on the effect to the economy. Right. Basically, $100 million in product is owned, it's estimated to be owned by the gun, or the gun owners that this may affect. And then also it showed the loss of revenue in coming years, which was nearly as much over the course of like 10 years' time. So it's affecting the economy, you know,
negatively.
I mean, obviously, I mean,
it's costing people their jobs.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot of money in the huge scheme of things, but it's a pinch for sure. I mean, it's going to affect people regardless.
And there's certainly going to be people that are going to be losing their jobs over it, and everything.
Companies shutting down because, I mean, look at Slidefire. You know, I mean, other companies that's what they produce is a product that, under the letter of the law, was completely legal until an executive order changed that. They just want to rewrite the definition of a machine gun to include bump stocks, which it's not a machine gun. It's been proven time and time again that it is false. It does not mechanically change a firearm into a machine gun. But no, you can't tell anybody that who's hell-bent on changing the rules without going through the proper channels, which,
Yep.
What does that smell like?
Tyranny.
It smells just like it.
Well, and the other crux of it, the difficulty behind it all, is that not only companies but consumers as well relied on advice from all of these organizations to try to, you know, determine if the device was indeed in violation of the law. And under Obama's ATF, they came to the conclusion that it did not change the classification and that it's simply just very fast semi-automatic fire, which is not by definition a machine gun.
Nope. It's a single function of the trigger for each shot fired. People
were relying on that guidance to make purchase decisions and for companies to make the decisions on how they run their company. And so now you're saying, well, we told you to do this, but you know what? We changed our mind because feelings. And I believe that a lot of the information that has been put out that supports the claim to need to support bump stocks is not only biased but erroneous in a lot of cases. And the truth of the matter is that it's just not used in the amount of crimes that people think they are. And not only are bump stocks a extremely small microcosm amongst that group. But rifles in general, even if you don't even consider semi-automatic, bolt gun, whatever, just rifles in general and their use in crime is such a small and negligible amount of the entire sphere of data in which guns are actually used in crimes that it's almost too small to even worry about. And not only that, but they found that the crime bill and the assault weapons ban from the 90s, that whole thing proved that the data was completely inconclusive. The ban was completely not effective, did not do what they set out to do, because the firearms used in crime simply just weren't what they thought they were. You can look at something and say, oh, that's scary, I don't like it, make it go away. But that doesn't mean that's what people use.
Well, and also
that's like saying only black race cars are going to go out there and go speeding versus, oh, well, that yellow car won't because it doesn't look like a fast, sporty car. Well, no, I mean, it's just dumb. But anyway.
It's really dumb.
It is.
So just for some extra details here. So the GOA has filed a motion for preliminary injunction, which Eric mentioned, which would hit the pause button on enforcing the bump stock ban until the legality of the regulations can be fully litigated. That's what we're talking about here, is getting this thing in the courts to determine the validity of the law and make sure that it was actually legal and constitutional to put into place, and then also to enforce.
Well, while we're talking about constitutionality, why don't we talk about taxing a right?
Yeah.
NFA is taxing a right. I mean, come on. I mean, if we're being fair here, you can't tax someone's right. I can't charge you a tax to speak your mind. Well, then why should I have to pay a tax to own a suppressor or to register a short barrel rifle? Why should I even have to register it in the first place?
Yep.
So I hope that this will open the door to really questioning the constitutionality of various other things, such as the NFA, national carry reciprocity. Obviously, hopefully this will open Pandora's box to other things. And that's what Pelosi and all the Democrats were concerned about, is they knew that this would immediately get hit with a lawsuit and that it would establish precedents for things to come. So we can hope that if this goes well, that maybe it'll open the door to other things being questioned.
Not only this, but also like the Kettler case that we talked about, with the whole NFA deal that was happening in Kansas.
Precisely.
But it said right here about Dianne Feinstein, she lamented that the GOA's lawsuit, would keep the bump stock ban tied up in court for years.
Feinstein, not Pelosi. Well, they probably share that anyway.
But that's their worry. Like instead of going through Congress and going through the correct channels to ban bump stocks and actually get a law on the books that was legitimate, quote unquote, possibly legitimate, this might be tied up in the courts for years and allow people to keep the bump stocks that they currently own, which they should do anyways, even after the waiting period is over. All right, so let's see. On Wednesday, this is this Eric Pratt who wrote this? I'm not sure who wrote this, but on Wednesday I sent a letter to the newly confirmed Attorney General urging him to restart the clock on the 90-day turn-in period. Let's see, the GOA made the case that while we might eventually win the courts, hundreds of thousands of gun owners will be risking felony prosecution just while waiting for a final court review.
Which is going to open Pandora's box.
Yeah. So, like, literally, I mean, all these gun owners, felons overnight, how are you going to enforce that? You're going to put all of us in jail? I mean, there's not enough room in the prisons hardly right now.
If they had their way, they would.
All right, so while it's a huge problem for gun owners, there's a separate simmering problem in the Department of Justice. Now, this is the big thing about this particular litigation. The question concerns whether the initial regulations were signed illegally. Our own sources inside the DOJ have told us, being the the Gun Owners of America, that there has been a raging debate on this point within the department, whether the regulations on bump stocks were signed legally or illegally. All right, so here's the dilemma. The previous acting Attorney General, Matthew Whitaker, signed the bump stock regulations, but did he have the authority to do this? This is the question that one judge is asking the plaintiffs in one of the other bump stock cases. There are currently 4 cases pending in 3 circuit courts. Our sources tell us that the Attorney General, William Barr, who was recently confirmed by the Senate, may reissue the regulations under his name. If that restarts the clock, fine. We've told him we do not believe he can ratify the regulations if neither he nor the acting Attorney General Whitaker had the authority to issue them in the first place. And so they sent a letter to Barr this week, and you guys know we failed on that front, so Barr was recently confirmed by the Senate. Unfortunately, the current Attorney General does not have a very good record on gun rights, as we've talked about in the past. That's why we need to appeal to the President and order Attorney General Barr to restart the clock.
Or to just drop the whole thing.
Or just drop the whole thing.
Well, we know that's not going to happen.
I mean, if we as a society, just think about this for a minute. If we as a society see something bad happen, and then you immediately just say, okay, we got to ban all that stuff, and it won't happen anymore. It's a fallacy. That doesn't work that way. I mean, okay, a terrorist makes a bomb, blows up a building. What are you going to, you ban terrorism? Well, I mean, it's already illegal. Making your own bombs is illegal, but they still do it anyways. I mean, driving a truck through a big crowd of people at at a big event or whatever the case is. Okay, yeah, well, what are you going to do? Ban all cars? I mean, you're going to change the regulations on renting a vehicle? I mean, that hasn't been talked about. You can't look at this way. All these people want on the anti-gun side is a virtual utopia. They think that, okay, we could pass all these laws and then people are just going to listen to us and everyone's going to live in perfect harmony. It's going to be nice and great. And,
unicorns.
And, you know, then what they really want, like we've talked about before, is they want a populace of subjects, not citizens. We, as Americans, are citizens. Those who lived in countries, well, you know, maybe under the Soviet Republic back when they were the USSR, under communism, those are subjects. We are citizens. We have God-given rights that we exercise. But under something like a socialist or communist regime, guess what? You're a subject. If you don't own a firearm, you are a subject. If you can't use a firearm to fight tyranny, you are a subject. But we have guns. We're citizens. We have rights, and we're going to exercise those rights. Whether somebody puts on a piece of paper that, oh, this is bad, this is illegal, you got to turn it in or you're a felon. Give me a break. Really? Come on.
There's something I want to mention, too, before we get too far ahead of ourselves. What concerns me too, you know, it's not a mystery that presidents have used and or abused executive power in previous administrations.
Yeah,
I mean, every president for a good long minute has signed some form of executive order in order to try to get something done.
But it's okay if it's your president.
Well,
I mean,
but the thing is, though, presidents have always used executive power. So it's not like you can just rightly say, oh, well, just because Trump's doing this to get the wall built, just because Trump is going to use executive orders to try to ban bump stocks, you can't say, oh, well, he's the only one doing it. So it's not fair to throw Trump under the bus just for that reason, because other presidents have done it. However, I will say that the general practice of using executive orders, I feel, is really a slap in the face to our system. It's a slap in the face to the way that we run our country. We have checks and balances for a reason. If you can't get it done through the Congress and through every seat and power of government, what you need to do, then guess what? You need to change your tactics. You need to figure it out. You have to get the support and graces of all the other branches of government. That's why we have the system we have, so that people can't just arbitrarily say, well, you know what? I can't have my way, so I'm just going to scream like a brat, sign a piece of paper, and guess what? Y'all can just deal with it. It's very, very wrong, and it's a slap in the face to how we're supposed to run our country. And every president's done it. It's not just Trump. It's not just Obama. Clinton did it. Bush did it. Lots of presidents from a long way back have done executive orders to try to get their way in certain cases.
The question is, though, whether those executive orders followed the law, the letter of the law, or were they issued kind of in a shady circumstance and they're just going to enforce it regardless without really taking a dive into it and fighting it on a constitutional level.
Right. Which, with the bump stock ban, is definitely a constitutional issue, because you cannot have any type of forfeiture or seizure of privately owned property.
Without compensation.
Without compensation, or without due reason. I mean, there has to be some legitimate reason.
Pesky due process.
Well, there's not a due reason. Okay, if a guy, I don't know, did some heinous illegal crap and I don't know, and had stolen merchandise. I mean, there's all these instances where obviously people get things seized from them because they're criminals, but we're talking Joe Blow American. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I know that own a bump stock. They're just regular folks, and they just want to go out and have fun with the dang thing and enjoy it and shoot fast and laugh, and it's funny, and that's about it. They're not bad people. They're going by what guidance was handed down by, you know, these groups of folks that said it was okay to do it. So it's very, very troubling that we have a group of people that want to basically just say, oh, well, I want to be able to sign a piece of paper and make you a criminal. That is very, very scary to think about, because in our next video, we're going to be discussing all the stuff going on with, what was it, HR 8 and HR 1112, you know, and that goes into even more stuff, which is this stupid background checks, and it goes into this really heinous, like 20 or 30 day wait to get a gun, like mandatory wait. I mean, it's just asinine what these folks are doing to us, and they're treating gun owners like second-rate citizens, and they just want to be able to sign a piece of paper, make you a criminal, and move on.
Well, the bottom line is blaming all gun owners for the action of a few deranged individuals. I mean, okay, so one guy committed a crime with a bump stock. So we need to punish everyone who owns a bump stock because we didn't realize they were so dangerous until
Or we need to blame an inanimate object.
Yes.
Which is dumb.
For the actions of an individual. I mean, we've talked about it in the past before. You look at, like, and actually in this video too, Eric mentioned it, you know, rifles used in crime. But it's always the black rifle that's demonized. It's always accessories on the black rifle that are demonized. And it's always people trying to rewrite the laws without going through the right process. I mean, you can't change the definition of something that works on physics. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, well, that's a machine gun." What's the character's name from The Simpsons? Like, I'm helping. What's his name?
Is that Ralph?
Is it Ralph? Yeah, I think it is Ralph. I'm helping.
That's the one that's Wiggum's son, isn't it?
Yeah.
The cop's son. Yeah, okay.
So there was one meme.
Ralph Wiggums.
There was one meme I saw. I just died laughing. It was a bump stock on Ralph. He was like, "I'm a machine gun."
Well,
I mean, that's what they're saying.
Personally,
you put it on there. It's like, oh, you got a forward grip on there now. Oh
no.
Oh, you put a forward grip on your pistol. It's a rifle. Oh my God! I mean, come on! It's so arbitrary.
I'm personally of the opinion. I think if you listen back to some of the videos that were recorded of the alleged use of those devices in crimes, I almost feel like the cadence is a little too perfect to be a bump stock device. I think it was a real belt fed.
We're talking conspiracies. Should I go get our tinfoil hats?
No, but I'm just saying, don't believe everything you're told.
I don't know. You know, everybody
especially when it's to erode your rights.
Everybody talks about false flags and all this kind of stuff, and you know, you come to a certain point in time, and you start looking at the series of events that have unfolded, you know, and you can't help but see the correlation between certain things and just wonder. It's like, I wonder if there really is something to that kind of Alex Jones mentality. I mean, I'd rather think that and be wrong than, you know, it be what's really going on and just be ignorant to it.
The bottom line is they're doing a bunch of really messed up stuff, and it's not fair. And, you know, signing a piece of paper and making people felons overnight is not the American way, and it's not the way that our country is designed to operate, especially when it's using executive action to do it. This did not go through the proper stages of government process in order to happen, and that's scary. That's basically a person saying, because you own a gun, you're a criminal, and you know what? Even though you're not a criminal, even though you haven't hurt somebody, we're going to make you a criminal just by signing a piece of paper, and that is scary. And it's going to also, if this holds, it's going to open the door for them to go after semi-automatics in general, because bump stocks do not change the physical attributes of the firearm and how it operates. So if a bump stock is a machine gun, then they can most certainly say that a semi-auto is a machine gun.
Well, and all you guys out there said, "Oh, I don't care nothing about bump stocks. I can ban them. I don't care nothing." All the FUD people and everybody else like, "Oh, nobody needs them things anyways." Your time's going to come if you don't get on board.
They're coming for you next.
So,
well, guys, hopefully, you know, we struck a nerve with this video. Look, these videos aren't easy to make, guys. I understand that a lot of you are frustrated But if you go to the GOA's website, okay, you'll see, we'll put a link in the description box below. If you go to the GOA's website, there's some sample letters. I'm not going to read them all because there's just a whole bunch of them, but there's some sample letters that you can send to Trump to express your displeasure for this entire thing. All you have to do is just copy and paste, sign it, and send it to President Trump. I would certainly try to appeal to President Trump, and I would contact your representatives. Look, anything at all, anybody that will listen, you have got to bark up the tree big time. I would even write William Barr's office and tell him how much you disagree with it, respectfully. You know, don't be emotional. Use the facts. And look, like we've said before, if you're going to call, if you're going to make a phone call, compose yourself. Look, if you have to, write out a statement, prepare a statement, read over it a few times, make sure you're prepared. If you're going to call them, be calm, be professional, but be firm in your stance, be respectful, and make them understand your opinion, okay? Like, you know, sometimes it helps to write it out and everything like that. So, guys, we've got to make sure we're staying on top of this. We are essentially the resistance, the people. You know, it doesn't matter if you're GOA, NRA, FPC, it doesn't matter what group of people that you hail under. We are responsible for fighting this. All the groups can do is rally the troops, but it's up to us to make the difference. And guys, we have to make our voices heard. And we are. So guys, thank you very much for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Many more videos on the way. I want to take a moment to definitely thank all of our Patreon supporters, those of you who purchase man cans to help support our channel. Also merchandise, such as the shirt you see here. He's got a hoodie on. Vanna White over here. Any of the merch that you purchase definitely goes right into supporting our channel, allowing us to put out more and more of this content. Thank you guys so much for the support, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.